All right, everybody, we are back. Today, we are going to talk about something that's incredibly important to all investors. And one of the things that I get asked about the most when I'm in a group or on a live, and that is, how do I know what the right market is to pick to do my investing, right? Virtual wholesaling, because there are so many markets. There are over 3,000 counties across the country. Where is the best place to spend your time and your ad dollars and your efforts so that you can get the maximum amount out of it and get the biggest assignment fee? So today, my good friend Burton from PropStream, we are going to take a look at that.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we are. I think it's actually a really important topic, to be honest with you, because it really, you can't just park your money anywhere, right? Like, you're trying to get the best bang for your buck. And data could really help you. I think data, it's a story. Data can tell a story as long as you're listening. You'll know exactly where to park your money. So I think this is an awesome topic. Thanks for having me, David.
No, awesome. Always glad to have you. Such a wealth of knowledge. I think it's very important to make sure that people understand, marketing it's just a big funnel, right? And if you want, watermelons to come out the bottom, you can't put grapefruits in. So one of the things that we have always talked about and preached is start with the end in mind. And I think that's what we're going to do today, is in order to go out and find the best sellers that will have the types of properties that your buyers want to buy, we have to first figure out what it is that your buyers are looking for. And we can definitely do that with PropStream and the data.
Yeah, absolutely. We can. And I have some things I'd like to show. Maybe you guys can take home with you today and implement it and start going in different markets or even your own market and see the hot areas, essentially. So ready when you are, man.
Cool. Do you want to share your screen? The little button
I'd
down
love
there?
to. Yeah, let me get the screen up here for you guys.
Super.
All right, there we go. So if you want to project that, and then I can show you, I would say 2 ways. We'll talk about the first way first, and if you want to see the second one, I'll leave that up to David. But when it comes to finding a hot market, David actually just said it right a few moments ago. You definitely want to make sure you're thinking about reverse engineering, right? So think about the end and the start. What we're talking about is the buyer. So there is this statement out there. I don't know who came up with it, but you guys have heard it. It's called follow the money. And that's something I want you to kind of hone in on today. So here's how I would reverse engineer and find out if a market is hot or where in that market are the hot points. The first thing I would recommend is identify a city you might be interested in. So David, give me a city, please.
Let's do Chattanooga, Tennessee, because that's where I'm at.
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Chattanooga.
All right. So I go to Chattanooga, and obviously we're going to supply you with a lot of data. Am I spelling that right?
See, I barely can see it. Chattanogg.
Okay, so I am. It's just my slight lag here. So let me zoom in a little bit since you can barely see that. Chattanooga. There we go. So the first thing we want to do is pull up the market. And then, again, we don't want to dive into the data right away. We, again, want to understand what we're doing. So I just mentioned follow the money. So what we want to do is really just hone in on the data that's already there, right? There are buyers already buying. There are people that have been investing in this market for decades, some businesses that have probably been doing it for centuries. So why go against the grain, right? So let's just follow the money. Let's see how these investors and hedge funds and other companies are already parking their money. Let's just follow what they're doing. So here's how to do it. Pull up a city, in this case, Chattanooga, and then go into our filter. And what I want you to do is identify the real investors, right? So use our cash buyer transaction. What this means is these are all non-owner cash transactions. So not just any cash transaction, but non-owner occupied cash transactions, meaning this isn't someone who bought it in cash and now just moved in and they're going to live there for the rest of their life. This is like an investor. This is their second, third, fourth home that they bought in cash. So these guys are not, or girls are not playing. So this is the category you want to stick with. So as you can see, we have 18,000 addresses that were bought in the market of Chattanooga. But now what we want to do is we want to actually limit the time frame of when they bought. As you can see, some of these transactions could have been from this year.
Right.
As we go further down, it could have been a transaction from last year. There could even be transactions from about 10 years ago in here. And that's not what we want. So what we want is we want very recent transactions, right? We want to make sure these are people that have done their research and they have committed to parking their money in that given area. So we're not just looking for any cash buyers. What we're looking for are all the individuals and corporations that bought something very recently. So in fact, it's already been 5 months into the new year. So let's just start it at the beginning of the year. So we'll start at January 1st, 2025. So what we're doing here is we're looking for cash transactions starting this year only, and we're making sure they're individuals in corporate offices. And then the final thing we want to do is, because PropStream has so much data to prove a point here, we have single family and vacant land. There could be a commercial building in here as well. So we want to just make sure we rule out what we don't need. So all I'm looking for right now is not just any buyer, but a buyer that bought something in cash this year. It's either an individual corporate office, and they bought something residential. So residential, let's say single family or whatever type of property or asset you're looking to invest into. In this case, let's just stick with single family. But again, if you're watching, you can choose mobile home, you can do multifamily. We have all sorts of different options. You can even do vacant land if you'd like. But for right now, this is what my filters are. Show me all the cash transactions. Again, those are all non-owner occupied cash transactions starting the beginning of this year. Make sure it's an individual or corporate office, and they're only buying single family, or that's the results I want to see.
Right.
We're down to now 188. So since the beginning of this new year, 188 cash transactions, single family properties have occurred. Now we're going to follow the money. There is a feature that not too many people use, and it's right here. It's this little tab sticking out. So once you pull up your results, I want you to then click this tab right here.
Okay.
And it gives you what I call the spreadsheet view.
Oh, look at that.
Okay. Now that we have this, what I want you to do is I want you to now break up that city by zip code.
Perfect.
All you have to do is just click on it once or twice. It just puts it in reverse order. If you click on it 3 times, it puts it back to default. But just click on it once. And now ask yourself which zip code had the most cash transactions this year. That's the market that you need to be in. That's called following the money.
I used to do that manually, and it was excruciating.
Exactly. So as you can see, starting this year, single family cash transactions, there's only been 2 in the zip code of 37403. While 37404 has had quite a few cash transactions, and that's just this year. There's been 24 cash transactions in that one zip code alone starting this year. 37405, another zip code with multiple cash transactions. Not as much as 37404, but we can go to the next page since there's a total of 4. Essentially, at this point, you should have a notepad and you should be writing down all the zip codes that you see quite frequently. Now that we know which zip code has the most cash transactions, this is where the money is flowing. Now we just reverse engineer it. Now we search, we clear our search. 904, I believe was the zip code.
304.
304. What was it?
Was it? Please. I
Let
live
me
here.
pull that up again. Yeah, I'm sure it's 37404, I do believe.
404. Okay.
There we go. So this is the zip code as of the last 5 months had the most cash transaction traffic, single family traffic. So now that I know that, guess what I'm going to be looking for? My motivated sellers in this market. Because you can get a contract anywhere, but if the buyers aren't really funneling money in that market, not to say you can't let go of the contract or disposition the contract, it just won't go. It might just take a little bit more effort. Whereas now that I know a bunch of cash is already flowing into this particular zip code, it's just my job to find and supplement those buyers with a seller now. So I'm going to go in this market and maybe find that tax delinquent homeowner that hasn't reached out to an investor or an agent to sell their property. right? I'm going to reach out to them, hopefully get them on contract. And guess what? I have tons of cash buyers already invested in this market. Dispositioning shouldn't be a problem. That's reverse engineering. And again, you can do this in any market. You know, if let's say tomorrow you wake up and you're like, I want to go to Kansas City, Missouri. Just do the same thing. Go to Kansas City, Missouri. Show me all the cash transactions as of this year, single family. Break it up by zip code and attack the zip code that you see the most. And that's how you can follow the money in prop stream.
Yeah. So I think what's important is for anybody who's watching is to pick a market and make that kind of your baseline. So you don't want to get into any place that's too small because then there's not enough buyers. So pick a market where you know, hey, this is a good viable market. People are doing deals here. And then, you know, once you have those numbers, then as you explore other markets, you can run both of those numbers kind of side by side and go, oh, okay, this one had 200 cash buyers this month. You know, that's the minimum I'm looking for. I don't want to be in a place that had 60 because that probably doesn't give me enough of a marketplace to move my deals to.
That is very, very, very correct. Because there could be large markets, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the market buyers want to be in, right? So like affluent neighborhoods, it could be lots of cash transactions in those neighborhoods or no transactions in those neighborhoods. And again, the only way to identify that is just using the data. The data is already telling you a story. It's just a matter of organizing the pieces so you can see what that picture is. In this case, follow the money. Right? Let the buyers tell you how they're putting their money in the market already. And once you do that, capture that zip code and then start attacking. In this case, start going for homeowners that need your help in those markets. The buyers will already be there.
I think what's so valuable about that is a lot of times newer investors can have this perception, and you just touched on it a minute ago, is, oh, I want to do houses in the nice area, or, you know, I only want to do mansions or luxury houses or whatever it is. And that's great, but that's more of an ego thing. Let's follow the data. Let's see where cash buyers are actually buying. Like, we may make assumptions of either it's on the golf course or, you know, in the worst economically depressed area. I don't know that either of those are true until we actually, you know, run the numbers and see. And then we can spend our money. We can spend our money smart, right? Because most of us don't have unlimited funds. So let's make sure that we're making every dollar absolutely count.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny part too is this is just one way of searching it. I could show another way of finding an identified market. And it's similar, except the only difference now is rather than following the money, we follow the financial challenges, right? Okay. And you guys have heard of Venn diagram before, right? You draw two circles and see what like similarities are between the two things. So draw a Venn diagram, do what I did. That's your first circle, right? Write down all the zip codes. And then what I want you to do is search the same market, reset your filters, but this time look for a distress category. So in this case, show me all the tax delinquent or all the bankruptcies or pre-foreclosures, right? Find one where there's a lot of results. So show me all the tax delinquent properties that are, again, residential, single family, owned by an individual, because if I do reach out, I'd rather talk to a person. Let's just make sure they've lived in here for a few years, like 5 years or more. And last but not least, let's make sure there's equity, right? No sense reaching out if there's no equity and we can't do what we got to do. So let's do 50%. So tax delinquent single family properties, 5 years of ownership with some equity. 2,300 results. I'm going to do the same thing again, spreadsheet view, and then I'm going to break it up by zip code, right? Again, go down all the zip codes and look for that correlation. So 37403 only had 18 tax delinquent records, but 37404 completes not only the rest of the page, but when we go to the next page, you can see 37404 literally takes all of page 2. Let's go to page 3. So you see what I'm doing? Again, if you have a Venn diagram, you have your cash buyer zip codes. Yeah. You should have written all the hot ones, right? And 37404 was one of the hot ones. And then you have your Venn diagram of all the distress records, and then you organize those by zip codes. And what do we have here? A correlation, guys. 37404 is exactly where all the distress homeowners and all the cash transactions are happening. Why go against the grain? The data is there. So you should be doing this in every market, whether you're new to your own market or you're about to venture into a new market. Create a Venn diagram. Follow the money, follow the distressed properties, find the zip code that lies in between, the zip codes that have the most transactions in both categories, and that's the zip code that you need to be in. So,
guys, this is so important. So just like, let's recap and be super clear. we went to a city and we looked at where the cash buyers were buying. We just sorted that out very, very quickly and looked at those zip codes. Then we took those zip codes over and then we searched for the problems, the stressors, the thing.
That's exactly what we did. So yeah, buyers, remember buyers, and then we created our sellers. Like very crude. This is what we did. And sellers was, I just chose a distress category, and that was the tax delinquency list, right? And what we discovered was 3744 was the zip code that had the most cash transactions this year and had the most tax delinquent records. So the data is already there. You just got to put the pieces. You got to find the puzzle pieces and snap them together.
Yep, 100%. And then now we're fishing in the pond that's stocked with all of the trout. So we have people who are losing sleep at night because they've got a problem, and we have plenty of people who want to buy there. It's literally the perfect storm. So whether you're doing direct mail or SMS or RVMs or cold calling or bandit signs or PPC or going out and buying PPL leads, if that's what your thing is, now you know where you want to be spending your money and your time. And it's absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. So that's following the money or just listening to the data. It's already there. So let us help you out with that. And if you need help with that, just call in, reach out. We'd love to show you those filters.
You guys have an amazing support staff. So let me ask you this, like we searched the city of Chattanooga. Should somebody search a county to go out a little bit more? What are your thoughts on that?
Same thing. I would just search the county and then break up which city had the most transaction. And then if you wanted then go even further, again, peel the onion even more, type the city and then break it up by zip code. You can't go any further than zip code, obviously, because there's nothing smaller in terms of demographic searches. So if you are going to search by county, then do the same thing. Just break it up by city, which city had the most cash transactions, tax delinquent records, whichever category you decide for that second part, and then go after that city. And if the city's too large, like let's say Los Angeles in this case, or Miami, then I would do what I just showed you, search the city instead, and then break it up by zip code. That way it's a little bit more controlled.
Cool. So when we get that info on where the cash buyers are at, we can even dial that in more and look at what the average square footage is and the average price that they paid. And like you can go really, really deep if you want. But just keep in mind, for the people that are watching, every time you add a new filter, your list just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So the good news there is we talked about this before, if you have $1,000 to spend and you start with 16,000 people, well, just start, don't be overwhelmed by 16,000. Like you don't have to pick up your phone and call 16,000 people. Just keep adding some more filters until you wean it down to just the absolute perfect size.
Correct. Yeah. And some filters to help narrow down would be like estimated value, make sure you get rid of the $1 million houses you don't need, or any houses undervalued that you don't want in your, in your search, things like that. So absolutely great suggestion there. That way you have a more controlled amount of leads.
Nice. Well, cool. We are almost out of time. I know I promised I wouldn't keep you more than 20 minutes. For everybody, PropStream is absolutely amazing. It was the backbone of our deal when we did Nationwide Property Liquidators and did over 1,600 wholesale deals nationwide. So, Burton, you guys have been very kind enough to give us a link for everybody to use here. Tell us what they get when they go there.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone gets a 7-day trial period. So make sure to sign up. We'll make sure you guys get that 7-day trial period to try it out. You'll get a discounted price as well. So check that out. And then right now we are running a limited promo. So for anybody that's watching this and they click on David's link, when you sign up for your trial, we're going to go ahead and include a $50 in-app credit. Again, that's a $50 in-app credit. So when you sign up, we're going to put $50 into your PropStream account so you can use it for our postcards, our email marketing, our skip tracing. So if you need a phone number or email because you want to call someone today, make sure you use those in-app credits. So again, 7-day trial, you're going to get discounted pricing. And then right now, current promo we're running for a limited time is we're going to squeeze $50 in your account so you can use it for our skip tracing, our marketing components, or any in-app purchases that you'd like to make within your PropStream account.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. This is just one video in a long series that we're going to be doing throughout the year. So PropStream does so much. Go back to the previous video, but you can use it to comp your properties, pull leads, skip trace, send out direct mail, find cash buyers. I mean, it's unlimited, the amount of stuff that it can do. And we are going to dive into every little bit of that throughout the course of this series. So Burton, thank you so much, man. I always appreciate spending time with you. I learn something every single time.
Thanks for having me, David. You're amazing, man. Appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you soon.